So I fretted over the price for a good, I don't know, 2 months or so, and then finally bit the bullet earlier this month and bought some juicy marbles. We'll talk about price more at the end of the video. I talked about them in my recent Good Vegan News for 2024. They are one of the only brands selling whole cuts of vegan meats instead of like burgers, nuggets. They're in several stores in the UK and I think elsewhere in Europe. And we may see them here in the US later this year. But for now, the only way for Americans to get it is by ordering online. They offer four but really 3 different products on their website. The thick cut filet and the whole cut loin seem to be the same product. It's just one comes in a couple, little steaks, and then the other one is a huge 27-ounce log. They also have baby ribs with edible bones. And finally, their newest product, this Meaty meat. It's 6 ounces, about 6 ounces long, and it's supposed to taste like lamb or lamb-ish. The ingredients really are nothing special. It's mostly soy protein concentrate and sunflower oil. They're pretty secretive about their whole process, which makes sense, but it seems that the cool stuff is really happening with how they're putting everything together with the extrusion process, how everything is layered. I do love that they add B12 to all of their meats, and I also love how low in saturated fat they are. Much healthier, of course, and just nicer for me. Beyond Meat and some of the other products that have so much coconut oil, that coconut oil greasy, it starts to make me feel kind of sick. Anyway, when I got the email announcing the new Meaty meat just a couple weeks ago, I decided it's time. So I ordered 2 of those, 2 of the ribs, and 1 huge loin. I ordered it on Tuesday and got it that Friday. The first one I tried was the lamb-ish one, the Meaty meat one. This one seemed less intimidating. It wasn't so large. It didn't have bones in it. Vegan bones or not, what do I do with that? This one was definitely the pinkest of all of them, thanks to the beet juice. I don't think the other ones have beet juice. They have, I think, vegetable juice for color, but yeah, if they do, not as much as this one. My 8-year-old walked by and was like, that looks like meat. Just this look of absolute disgust on their face. Great start. For those who don't know, my kids have never had meat, and my 8-year-old is like vegan, capital V, does not want anything to do with any animal products. So anything that's really reminiscent, particularly of meat, they want nothing to do with it. Again, they've never tasted meat, but they've seen what it looks like, and the color makes it, kind of look like meat. It kind of smells like meat. I'm scared. I followed the instructions, which said to salt it and then just put it in a pan over medium heat and sear it on both sides. The first one got a little too brown, so I turned my stove down a little bit for the second one. It was not the easiest thing to cut. Now, I will say my knife was kind of dull when I first tried, so for the second one, I did go ahead and sharpen it before cutting into that one. It didn't really seem to make a difference for me. I also tried a serrated knife, and that didn't really help either. This stuff just really wants to fall apart. As you can see here, it seems like it's kind of rolled, and I think I have another shot where you can see the inside kind of coming out, almost like a cinnamon roll. It looks like the layers of soy and fat are separate and kind of rolled together, and I think this is what gives it, that kind of marbled effect, the more meaty kind of tear apart texture instead of just the dense, chewy, seitan texture. But it also means that it's not going to hold together as well as a hunk of animal flesh would. Anyway, here I am trying it for the first time. As you can see, initial reaction, not great. And then just kind of confused. I think I said at the end, I'm not sure. I got to think about this. I have to think about this. The taste was an issue because it was so much more like meat than anything I had tried. So that kind of threw me off for a minute. And then the texture, this one, it gets the, nice sear on the outside, and then the inside is softer. And I'm not a huge fan of that. So that kind of threw me for a loop. I say I'm not a huge fan of that, but I actually love unpressed tofu that's just put in the pan and you have the nice crust on the outside and the silken on the inside. But that's silky tofu. It's not this. Anyway, I wanted to see if I made it more seared, if I would like it more. So I cut a couple slices and then just cooked those separately in the pan. And I did like that much more. There was more crust, more dryness. But as I kept eating, it it really grew on me. I'm pretty sure I ate everything on this plate. No sauce or anything, just the salt that I put on beforehand. It's very filling. It's very protein forward, which I like. And yeah, absolutely the most meat-like thing I have ever tasted. Way, way, way more so than Impossible or Beyond in both taste and texture. And there's no weird aftertaste, which both of those have for me. So yeah, I like that a whole lot. Now, I will say I have not had meat in like 17, 18 years, something like that. So, oh, and lamb. I don't know if I've ever had lamb. So not a super reliable reviewer in terms of whether something tastes like meat or not. But to me, I think this was like at the very edge of what I could tolerate in terms of meat like. Any more in terms of taste or texture, and I think it would gross me out. Once they perfect the aromatics, whatever they're working on with like precision fermentation and whatnot, where you have a vegan meat that actually smells and tastes like beef, well, no. Very cool, but not for me. It also helps that the texture is very reminiscent of pot roast to me. This was very funny. I didn't get this initially when I was eating it, but at some point I just went pot roast. And I have not thought about pot roast in I don't even know how long. I think I've said before, well, I know I've said before, I was not a huge meat eater growing up. And most of the time it was like chicken nuggets, stuff like that. I loved my mom's beans and rice and sausage. I think that was actually the last meat I ever ate. But another thing I really liked was pot roast. And this has that kind of tear apart texture that pot roast has. It's basically exactly that texture from what I remember. Again, it's been a really long time, but again, that was one of the only beef things that I liked. Unfortunately, no one else cared for it. My husband said, whatever, he could take it or leave it. My 2-year-old ate some of it. You know, they did what they often do. They take a bite. Oh, it's good. And then they don't eat anymore. It's like, okay, well, it wasn't actually good. And then my 6 and my 8-year-old, no. They hated it. Now on to the giant log, the loin. So this is supposed to be more like a beef, right? I decided to do 2 different things. I was just going to cook it the exact same way as the lamb one, but I don't know. I thought for a video that would be kind of boring. So I decided to take half of it and do a stir fry, like a beef, broccoli, pepper stir fry. So I started cutting the pieces into like chunks. Well, no, I think I was actually cutting them like on the diagonal, trying to get shreds, and it kind of worked. But again, it just falls apart so easily, you know? So I ended up just kind of tearing stuff off. It was a lot easier that way. So yeah, once I got that all into a big torn up pile, I put it into a pan with a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, and it browned up really, really quickly, which was nice. Added some cooked broccoli, some bell peppers, scallions, some of this Trader Joe's soyaki sauce. Absolutely delicious. Love the flavor, right? It's beef-like without that like bloody heme iron kind of taste. And I did try this on its own, right? Like in the pan. I kept just eating it out of the pan. It's really good. 10 out of 10 for me. No joke. Like I really, really loved this. Again, my kids, not so much. They did like it better than the meaty meat, I think because it was sliced up with other stuff. And again, they didn't see like a whole bunch of pink meat-like stuff on the counter. But yeah, they would much rather have like tofu or the Gardein chicken strips as a protein. For the other half, I made beef stew because, again, the whole pot roast texture thing, which this one has as well, pretty much same exact texture. So I thought this would go great in beef stew. Another beef thing I liked because it's just little pieces. You're not, eating something off the bone. There's not going to be as much collagen or tendon, there's not going to be that textural difference. Everything's going to be pretty much uniform. Unfortunately, I forgot to film this one. I think I got some video once I was done, but yeah, it's pretty simple. I just cooked the chunks in a pan with some oil, browned them up, again, very, very fast, added some flour, salt and pepper, cooked that for a couple minutes to get the, raw flour taste out of it, then set that aside, then made the rest of the soup and added it back in at the end. It came out nice and tender, the loin, the juicy marbles, but still held its shape. Like, again, 10 out of 10. I like the Gardein beefless tips. That's usually what I use when making beef stew, although I haven't made beef stew stew in a long time because I can't find those anymore. But this was better. It honestly could have been beefier. Like I probably could have used the entire loin for the beef stew. Finally, the ribs. Gee, I wonder why I didn't try these until the end. Yeah, I was not excited for these at all. I never ate ribs. I don't know if I've ever even had them, to be honest. Again, eating things off the bone was just gross. And barbecue, I never liked barbecue sauce. Grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. No barbecue. That's not true. There was a barbecue pizza from Garibaldi's. Yeah, I did like that barbecue pizza, but generally, no. So yeah, the bones were an issue. The barbecue thing was an issue. Like, what do I put on these? Like, the instructions, again, very, very simple. Just put them in the oven, 390, I think it said, convection, for 15 to 20 minutes, and add put whatever you want on it. Dry rub, sauce, whatever. I ended up finding a simple dry rub that sounded good to me. It had like brown sugar, salt, smoked paprika. Again, cooked it following the directions. I added a few more minutes since I had 2 of these, and one of them I did flip during the oven time just to see if that would, do anything, make any difference. It didn't. As you can see, the bone part is a bit of a gimmick. They pretty much just slip right out. I looked up reviews to see if that was normal, and yeah, it seems to be normal. I saw so many people saying, yeah, the bones are dumb. They slip right out. They're not yummy, but the rest of it's really good. There was no way I could hold any of these rib segments like as a rib and eat it like that, which again, fine by me. I don't want to eat it like that. So I ended up just kind of shredding pieces off and putting them in my mouth. Delicious. The rub, number 1, really, really good. But yeah, the juicy marbles part, again, very good. My 8-year-old liked them much more than the lamb, the meaty meat, which they hated, and then the loin, which they still were like, what? This one they actually ate. They loved the rub. They were asking me, like, did it come with that part, the flavoring part, or did you add it? I was like, I added that. They were like, oh, I like that. But also it was drier, right? And I think, like me, they prefer that sort of thing. They don't like the softer, wetter part, and they weren't super pink. My 2-year-old, again, tried one piece and was like, it's good, and then didn't eat anymore. I don't even think my 6-year-old tried it, and I didn't push it because they were just so done with me and my juicy marbles experiments. I did try to eat one of the edible bones. I think I got video of that. I got like a little piece. You can't just bite it straight, but you can kind of rip little pieces off. I think it's just straight soy protein, really, really dense soy protein. It's not yummy or anything. So yeah, I can see why people just throw them away. I ended up chopping them into little tiny cubes and putting them in some water to see if they'll soften a bit. And then I'm going to boil the shit out of them to see if that will help them soften more, and maybe I can like put it in some soup or something. I don't know. So overall, I really, really liked juicy marbles. I wouldn't buy the ribs again. Again, they were tasty, but I don't need the gimmick of it all, The meaty meat was pretty good. I would buy that if they didn't have the loin, but they have the loin, and yeah, love it. If my family liked it, I'd probably order that like once a month. Again, I'm the only one who likes it, so yay me. Price. I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready for this. So the meaty meat is $10 each. Each little 6.35 ounce log is $10. The baby ribs, $30 per 12.4 ounce rack. And the loin is $55 per 27 ounces. By weight, the ribs are the most expensive. It works out to $2.40 per ounce. That's $38.70 a pound. The loin comes next at $2.04 per ounce, $32.59 a pound. And then the cheapest is the meaty meat at $1.57 per ounce, $25.20 a pound. Just for reference, my store has Beyond Meat burgers for 39 cents per ounce right now. They also have Impossible Beef for 58 cents per ounce and Gardein Ultimate Meatballs for 63 cents per ounce. So that's $6.24, $9.28, and $10.08 a pound, respectively. So yeah, already really expensive compared to like a bag of beans or a block of tofu. And then Juicy Marbles is several times that. Now, I know that's not a totally fair comparison, right? Burgers and meatballs are not whole cuts, and those aren't being shipped directly to my door with dry ice. And when I did get some discounts, I forgot what it was, some little discount, I think for ordering the lamb stuff and free shipping. And even still, it was like $121. How many beans could you buy with that? I don't even know. Too many to fit in my kitchen, that's for sure. How many blocks of tofu? Let's see, I get a block of tofu for like $1.57, something like that. I think that's right, $1.59. We'll say $2. 60.5 blocks of tofu. Oh my God. So yeah, it's really expensive. I suspect, and having read some stuff, interviews and whatnot with the CEO of Juicy Marbles, I think they're being really smart with their pricing. You know, there's this tendency now for companies to charge very, very little to the point where they are losing lots of money. So they charge as little as possible initially to get a lot of people in the door. And I think Juicy Marbles is being smart and not doing that. I mean, I just read something that said they broke even, I think, at the end of last year, and they expect to actually make a profit this year. And I suspect that's why, because they're actually pricing their products to make a profit. I know. Crazy. But yeah, it means you're having it shipped with dry ice. Yeah, it's going to be crazy expensive. I cannot wait to see them in stores here. I can't wait to see what the price is going to be. And yeah, I mean, if it is in stores, then I would buy it, right? I would have no problem with buying even a whole loin, you know, for myself, just not when it's $30 a pound. So the Juicy Marbles hype, I get it. I totally get it. The taste and texture to me are the closest to meat by far. And even though I'm not really looking for that, just as a super filling, protein forward, low saturated fat food, again, it doesn't have any of that greasiness, like awesome. And there's no differences in texture that meat has, you know, when you've got like the collagen or tendons or whatever in there, right? It's like all the best parts of pot roast without the nasty shit. So yeah, definitely try it if you can. Thank you for watching, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know your thoughts if you've tried Juicy Marbles. What do you think about it? If you've seen it in stores in Sainsbury, or is it called Tesco? I think it's there too. What are your thoughts? Like, where is it placed? I would love to know. I didn't even think about that. Like, where is it placed in the store? And what's the price? Please do like the video, subscribe, all of that stuff. And thank you so much to my members here on YouTube and my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 members and patrons. I do a vlog, and then I do a controversial topic, just whatever I want to talk about. Sometimes trending stuff, sometimes just not trending. Thanks again, guys. New video soon. So I do have to comment on the Juicy Marbles marketing because it is peak wackaging. I don't remember who coined that term, but I read an article a while back that was talking about Oatly. I think they were specifically talking about the Oatly packaging and like how crazy it is and how new and hip, and they called it wackaging. I love it. But yeah, this is even worse than Oatly. It is the cringiest shit I've ever seen. It doesn't matter. I get it. And maybe some people like this and find it funny, but it just, God, I hate it. I hate it so much. Particularly, they posted, I think on Instagram, this fake story about how their little mascot guy was created. When we started in December 2020, Luca, one of 4 founders, told me, Vlad, we need a mascot or some shit. And I was like, it's too early. We have no identity yet. And he was like, I don't care. Draw us a character, bitch. So being a little bitch, I took my little notebook. Yeah, okay. I don't know. It's giving hello, fellow children. Like the no capitalization, no punctuation. Like I'm one of you guys. I'm part of the youth. As a mid to late 30-year-old. No. I can smell the old from here. I also don't love the little bit of like demonizing of chemicals that they do on their website. You know, they kind of talk about theirs as being really, really pure. Not a huge fan of that, but I will say I do like their company overall. I like their CEO, what I've read from him. Oh, they do have a lot of recipes on their website too. And like for the loin, I think they have a beef Wellington, or maybe they just showed a photo of one. I thought about that. I've never made a beef Wellington. I've never eaten a beef Wellington. Like I would not I would not know where to start. I wanted to keep it simple, like stuff that I know how to make. And I did have a desire with the first one, the Meaty Meat, to dip it in ketchup, but I refrained. I ate everything with ketchup as a kid. And yeah, there was just something in me that was like, this needs ketchup. Filet mignon, better with ketchup.